connecting your brain and body with interactive games and tests. Why is there no physical activity in today's health physical? Trazer is an holistic technology used to rehabilitate, prevent falls, and improve sport performance. Trazer reports provide you, your clinician, your physical therapist, or athletic trainer objective data to make decisions on your health and performance over time. Measure what matters to change your game. Take the Trazer Challenge. Confidence, growth, connected by Trazer.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome into Alex Fleming's NFL Carousel, Season 3, Week 13, or as I like to refer to it as Bizarro Worlds, because we know at this point anything and everything is possible. Man, let's jump right into this. So, as always, I'm going to start with one of my favorite AFC West individuals. Our girl, Miss Carrie Johnson, is in the building. Carrie Johnson, good evening. How are you?
I'm doing great, sir. And yourself?
Doing very well. So, Carrie, let's talk about it. You got a very interesting task this Sunday. Your Kansas City Chiefs are heading to Cincinnati, the team that beat them in order to go to the Super Bowl last year.
Beat us twice.
Beat you twice, that's right. The regular season and again in the championship game. So, all right, Carrie, you got to talk to me about this. What's going to happen this Sunday in Cincinnati?
Well, thank you. So this is a repeat of the AFC Championship. I think a lot of things fell apart in the locker room at halftime last year at the championship. So I anticipate that not to be the same this year. This is a time for us to bring back the revenge and get that back on track. Jamar Chase will be back Sunday. He has had limited practice. Kind of feel like that's going to be while he wants to be in the game, they're going to be protecting him a little bit with limited snaps, would be my guess. The notable people that we have out on this did not practice or out. We have Hardman still on IR. We have Tony and McKinnon did not practice yesterday or today. So that's interesting. Although I did look it up, and we have a almost 66% chance to win. What's going to need to happen is we're going to have to contain Chase, and that was our albatross last year. So we got to contain Chase. Hopeful that with Reed and a couple others that are there in the backfield, that we got that taken care of. Clark and our angry George Karflakis need to get after Joe Burrow and really, because that's one of the things we do well is the rush. So I hope they get a lot of pressure put on him. Two notable things that happened this week. One of them, I'm still curious to see how it plays out. The other one I'm kind of excited about. Melvin Gordon III has now been signed to our practice squad. This is his third AFC West team to be on. My first thought was to gift him to the Raiders, but as a Christmas gift, but we'll see how that plays out. Brandon Williams is a defensive tackle. Interesting story is he played at the first college I attended, which was Missouri Southern State College, and so he's back home, so to speak. I would like to see him succeed, partly because he's a state boy, and then also that he came from a very small college that's actually produced several stars in the past. So I'm looking forward to seeing that kind of flourish a little bit.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, listen, if there's one person I know who is going to be dialed in and focused for your team, it is definitely Travis Kelce. Not sure if Jamar Chase is coming back just yet, so that might be a positive for you guys. But listen, Joe Burrow has proven that without Joe Mixon and without Jamar Chase, he still finds a way to get it done. But best of luck to you, Miss Johnson. I will talk to you next week.
I think the pass rushing is going to be the key for us to be able to keep Burrow on his toes, and that's what's going to have to happen.
All right.
Thank you,
Carrie
sir.
Johnson,
have a great week.
I'll see you. So I got to talk to this next gentleman because his team is starting to maybe turn around a little bit. We don't know. The unfiltered truth, Phil Jones. He looks sleep.
Nah. I'm just reading the madness happening in AB's world.
Oh, we're not talking about that.
I know, right?
We are far past that. Let's focus on.
Oh yes.
Let's focus on your AFC West divisional matchup between your Las Vegas Raiders and the LA Chargers, sir. Talk to me.
Hey, they decided to learn to believe and work together. All the turmoil seems to have died down some in Vegas land, or the Death Star, the black hole, whatever you want to call it right now for all you other fans. So Raiders look like they can make something happen this Sunday. They had the Chargers, the last couple games, they either have folded, choked like always, and escaped out of Arizona by the grace of God. I mean, you could say the same thing about the Raiders' last two games, escaping out of Denver and then escaping out of Seattle. So it comes down to these two teams to whether or not, can the Raiders really pull something off? Can they be consistent? We have a consistent running game. You see what Josh Jacobs is doing. Now you already know what Devontae Adams can even for you. He's the best. Now, the question is, can the defense hold up? Can they continue to create turnovers like they did the last two games? Can they get to Justin Herbert? Can Derek Carr play solid, maybe perfect game? Those are my two big question marks going into Sunday's game. If they do that, then maybe you do have a shot, because when you go down this road, you got the Rams after that, and we're not seeing Matthew Stafford or Cooper Kupp, or possibly not Aaron Donald. I mean, you can keep going down the rest of that list. The real hardest team you got, the only two I would say are the Niners and Chiefs. So Raiders could probably pull something off and pull a whole miracle again like they did last year. Or if not, we got to work on.
All right. Fair enough, my brother. Phil Jones telling the unfiltered truth. I definitely want to holler at you as the season comes to an end, because I got some questions, and there's only one person that I'm going to for answers. My brother, much love to you. I'm going to holler at you. Thank you, sir.
All right, man. Take care.
All right. So I'm going to my next guy, who is one of my dear friends, and yet still his team is still relevant. Go figure. I don't understand how it happened, but listen, the Denver Broncos, even though they are 3-8, I mean, they're still the Denver Broncos. We still going to talk about them, but they are under review with my man Jordan Long. Jordan, you're going to Baltimore to face the Ravens. Talk to me, brother.
Well, you look at the Ravens, and we know what they're going to get on offense. Sure, Lamar Jackson is hurt. They said he had a quad injury in practice. I'm not worried about Lamar Jackson. Even if he plays, we still have to stop him. But you look at them, and they run the football. That's what they love to do. They rush for 162.7 yards per game, second in the NFL. Our defense gives up 121.6 yards on the ground, 19th in the NFL. If Lamar Jackson ends up playing, our biggest thing is to key on him and keep him in the pocket. We played him last year. We did a great job of that. Unfortunately, he threw the football, so we have to be aware of that. But our defense, though, we have to rely on them. If you look at our offense, though, it's been really confusing. Some days we look great in the first half. Some days we look really bad in the second half. We have to put a full game together. Also, we don't score many points. We score 14.3 points a game. That is just unacceptable. So in order to be successful in this game, we have to convert third downs. What do third downs do? Well, it keeps your offense on the field. It doesn't allow Lamar Jackson and that Baltimore Ravens offense on the field. We have to keep drives alive and control the clock. We need to avoid short drives. That way, the defense have a chance to rest. Of course, it could come down to punts. I mean, we are really good at punting, and if we do, Carlos Waitman really has to punt the ball inside the 20, which will force the Baltimore Ravens to go a long field, and maybe we even get a short field because of that.
Okay. I'm very curious to see how this game goes. I can tell you, if you would have asked me this question at the beginning of the season, I would tell you I was excited for this matchup. But how both teams have played this year so far, I'm still kind of just like, I'm not really sure where I'm going to place my bet just yet. So we'll see. But this is my man under review, as he always is, with my man Jordan Long. Jordan, thank you, sir. I'm going to see you next week.
Thank you, Eric.
So let me go ahead and get my brother in here, because if someone would have told you at the beginning of the season that the Seattle Seahawks would be a top or right there contending for the NFC West crown, y'all have thought I had 7 heads and said, as our brother Alex used to tell me all the time, you need to be drug tested. But that is not the case. And that's why I say it's bizarro world, because the reigning defending champ, Los Angeles Rams, are 3-8. And the Seattle Seahawks are 6-5. Let me say that again so that y'all understand where I'm coming from. The defending Super Bowl champion Los Angeles Rams, led by Matthew Stafford on offense and Aaron Donald on defense, are 3-8. And the Seattle Seahawks, led by Geno Smith, are 6-5. Very simply. Trey, what's up, man? You got the mojo going. Talk to me about your matchup this week, sir.
Man, coming off of a loss to the Raiders, unfortunately, couldn't get the job done in overtime. But it's okay. Had some miscues, all that. But here's the thing about this whole matchup, is that we are really dealing with a injury-prone Rams team, a team that has just now lost Aaron Donald for this game. So meaning we're going to have less pressure off of Geno Smith, which means Dino and Kenneth Walker can get the juices flowing and really get that ball going out early. Now, the thing about this defense is there may not be no Cooper Kupp, no Matthew Stafford, no Aaron Donald, all these superstar guys that we all look up to. They still have, Cam Akers, they still have Jalen Ramsey, they still have Bobby Wagner, which are still guys that still can't get their hands on the football. So with this, we're definitely gonna have to contain to not only get those rushing yards out there, but we're gonna have to have our wide receivers start going early, because it's a shame to see Tyler Lockett really get his own in the second half, and it's hard to see that DK Metcalf is already going through enough that he's going through. We just definitely got to get that ball going out early. We have to get the offense going out early, because the one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to keep this Rams team in it to the last possession. So the one thing we have to do is we have to punch him in the mouth early, and we have to let everybody cook.
Okay, fair enough. My man Trey, looking fresh. I like that, brother. I like the cut. You look clean, man. I'm definitely gonna holler at you. Thank you, sir.
Sure.
All right, let's transition over to the AFC East. I'm gonna say this. John Shearer and his Miami Dolphins have actually a test this week. Because, see, in the beginning of the year, when they beat up on the Buffaloes of the world and the Baltimores of the world, we thought, well, maybe it was just an aberration. But what they have shown, the Miami Dolphins, who are, again, the Miami Dolphins are the first place team in their division at 8-3. However, they are facing the 7-4 San Francisco Rams out there in Santa Clara. John Shearer.
49ers.
49ers, I'm sorry. Yeah. AFC versus NFC, John. There are some people in your world, not in mine, in your world, who are saying this could potentially be a Super Bowl matchup. So I want to hear from you, sir.
Yeah, the Niners would have to get there first in order for that to happen, because we already know what's going to happen in the AFC. So the Niners would have to take care of their business. Then that's a possibility for that to happen. I wouldn't want to put the Niners, chicken before the egg, with the Niners. But let me give you some stats, Eric Wilson. Last time Jimmy G played these very Dolphins in the same stadium 2 years ago, sure. Jimmy G was 7 for 17, 77 yards, a QBR of a QBR of 1.6. That's about as bad as it gets. He was benched, and then his rating was 15.7. 15.7 is about as bad as it gets as well. So Jimmy G literally played about as bad as you can. They had Ayuk, didn't do anything. They had George Kittle, didn't do anything. They had Deebo Samuel, he didn't do anything. Oh, we beat them 43-17 2 years ago. I mean, go figure. We already beat their ass 2 years ago with basically the same team. They got Christian McCaffrey, but it doesn't really matter because, he's always hurt. As long as Teron Armstead plays, who protects to his blind side, this is going to be a blowout. You say it's a Super Bowl matchup, Eric Wilson, but this is actually turning into what could be a blowout. I mean, who's going to stop Hill? Who's going to stop Waddle? Who's going to stop our run game? I don't care if they got Bosa. I don't care who they got. McDaniel knows their whole team inside and out. This is blowout city. The Niners haven't beaten anybody this year. Go look at their schedule. Who have they beaten? Lost to the Bears. They lost to they lost to the Falcons. Like, they lost to bad teams, and they haven't beaten anybody. They beat the Chargers. They beat the Rams. They beat the Seahawks. None of those are good teams. Seahawks are overachieved. Like, the Niners haven't proven anything. We talk about how the Dolphins haven't proven anything. What have the Niners proved to you? Who have they beaten, Eric Wilson? They've beaten absolutely nobody in a watered-down division. Cardinals suck. Seahawks are overrated, and the Rams suck. This is blowout written all over it, man. Like, another 43-17 game. Put it in the books. This one's over. We're on to Sunday
So
night.
say it, John. Say it.
Sunday night
Say
football.
it, John. John Shear. Say it. Spit those words out your mouth.
All right, that's
You
it.
won't
for
do
me
it.
tonight.
You won't do it.
Put it in the books is all I'm going to say.
Say it, John. Just say it. That's
Let's
all.
put a little
Say those
wager on
two
the
magical words for me, John. Come on. Come on.
I just can't do
43-17. Come on, John.
It's over. Put it in the books. That's all.
See.
No. I'm not jinxing this. This is like we have a no-hitter. I'm not jinxing it. No. You're not tricking me into that.
My brother John Shear, Miami Dolphins. He is the president of the Tua for MVP fan club. My brother, much love to you. I'll see you Monday night, man. He wouldn't say it. Oh, I was hoping John would give me one, but he wouldn't do it. He's a fan till the end. I'll say this, but he rides that line so thin. So listen, Couch Coach couldn't join us this week, but he did send me a video talking about his Washington Commanders, and I'll make sure I put that in a little bit later. But let me talk to the other two members of the NFC East, the best division in all of football. First up, it would be the 7-4 New York Football Giants. Jake, too much turkey, too much tryptophan. I was so mad after the second half.
How do you think I felt? I was feeling just as angry as you, Eric.
No, you're probably angrier, but yeah,
exactly.
We were very close. But let's go ahead and get her in here. She is the queen of hoops, sitting at 8-3. Miss Megan Price. Oh, jeez. Look at her.
Look, before Megan says a word, all I'm going to say, she's not in first place, so she can't get that over you, Eric. She's got one over me, but that doesn't really say much.
Anything is possible. All right, so let's get down to brass tacks here. And Jake, I will start with you, seeing as how you are. I'll work my way from third to first. Sir, you're playing the Commanders this week. So you go from one division opponent to another, and then correct me if I'm wrong, next week you got me. So, Jake, you're just in divisional play.
And then I believe the week after that we play Washington again for our second Washington matchup. So, it's going to be a lot of division games. It's the life of a Giants fan right now is not your favorite because it's a lot of divisional matchups, and it could be really bad. It could go really poorly in the next couple of weeks.
How are you feeling? How are you feeling playing against now that Chase Young is back and you have Tyler Heineke,
Eric,
Logan Thomas, Brian Robinson?
My biggest concern automatically was Chase Young. I was like, he won't be back for this game. He is. The Giants have good news. Reinforcements are coming. It does sound like they're getting healthier. Multiple offensive linemen are going to hopefully be back this week. I don't know yet. We'll find out. But it sounds like the team is going to get healthier as a whole. So there is optimism for me right now that maybe this won't be so bad. If we don't get healthier and Chase Young comes back, I'll book it now. We're not going to have a chance in this game because Chase Young will just take over a game like nobody else, and it's going to be a nightmare. With that said, the Giants' game plan continues to basically be the exact same thing. They got to run the football, and that's what they do. That's what their offense is predicated on. What I would love to see and what they think they need to do more, give Daniel Jones more designed runs. At the beginning of the season, they gave him a lot of designed runs, and that was a really good cog in our offense that was going, right? We had Saquon, we had him, which opened up the passing offense for Daniel Jones. Now he's not running as much. He's running when he has to. They're not giving him those designed runs. I would love to see that again. I think that was one of the best parts of our offense, besides Saquon playing so well, was the fact that if they gave it to Daniel Jones, what was he going to do? Was he going to throw? Was he going to run? There was an actual question. Now it feels like unless we get pressure on him, he's probably just throwing the ball. He's not running the ball as much. On defense, I mean, look, Brian Robinson has played very well, and that has been a big concern for us is the run defense. But I think we can stop him. I think, again, all things considered, the Giants have improved in that. And then Terry McLaurin always is going to be my concern, especially with Heineke at quarterback. Heineke loves McLaurin. That is probably his favorite weapon. When you put somebody else quarterback, he's less of a factor. Heineke's a quarterback. You really got to watch him because that's one of his go-to guys. And I know that. I hate to say it, but I do know that. So you got to stop him. If we can stop those guys, and again, if we can establish the run, hopefully get Daniel Jones running again, I think this is a totally winnable game. There's no question that it isn't. But it's a matter of do we do the right things or do we do what we did last week against Dallas, which is do the right things in the first half, and then the second half we just decide to stop.
Yeah. So let me transition over. Great segue. Thank you for laying that up for the Queen of Hoop, Ms. Megan Price. Megan, you have the Sunday night matchup. And what appears to be the fact that your team is essentially not only are they kind of moving in a positive progression, but you are one of the three teams, along with Jake, the New York Giants, who is in line for the OBJ sweepstakes. Where will he land is the question. So 2 parts for you, Megan Price. Number one, Jeff Saturday now is 1-2 as the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. What do you expect from Matt Ryan? What do you expect from that defense? And number 2, really quick, just talk to me about the impact if you were to win the sweepstakes and get Odell Beckham Jr.
Okay. Well, first off, Matt Ryan is washed. Jeff Saturday doesn't know how to call a timeout. The problem with Indy is Jonathan Taylor. And then on the other side of things, we know what our secondary is. I don't think there's any question about Dallas's secondary. They have proved themselves. Our rush defense, however, is not where it needs to be. So I'm concerned with that. It's not hard for a QB to hand the ball over to their star running back. That's going to be their go-to. That's exactly what we did whenever Dak was out. That's what Cooper Rush did. He relied on the run game. So, I mean, I think we know how to beat them. Do we have the talent to beat them on our defense? I'm not sure. I'm not impressed with Matt Ryan. I told y'all a couple seasons ago he should have been hung it up, and I still feel that way. But Jonathan Taylor is amazing. You can't discredit him whatsoever. As far as OBJ, like I said before, I feel like if he wants to go to a contender, and I'm not saying, oh, we're going to win the Super Bowl or it's our year. I'm not going to be that fan. But I think that out of New York or Dallas probably has a better chance. But if he wants to,
but Buffalo, not to interrupt you, but Buffalo is also in the mix.
They are. You're absolutely right. But out of those two, out of Dallas and New York, I feel like Dallas has a better chance of doing something in the postseason. But if he wants to protect his legacy at all, if he cares about that, I think you go home. You go to New York. But I mean, it's Odell. Obviously, he can't even get on a plane right. So, I mean, he's going to do whatever he wants to do, and we shall see.
Let me push back real quick, and I'm glad Jake is here for this. I'm going to push back a little bit, and then I will talk about the Titans versus the Eagles, of course. Think about it like this. OBJ has always considered himself to be a top wide receiver. And we noticed that there was a bit of a disconnect, if you will, when other people were being targeted more than him. What if we talked about all season long with the New York Giants? Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley. Not once or barely, shall we say, have we mentioned the wide receiving core. So would that
exist.
not?
Well, they traded away. They traded away their star receiver. You know,
I get it.
I get it. Hold on, you want to call Kadarius Toney my star receiver? Come on.
I mean, he was y'all number one receiver, correct?
No,
was he
no.
Okay, excuse me.
Darius Slayton's 100% when everybody's healthy.
Okay, so a waste of a first round pick. It was a waste of a first round pick. Then
Megan, I will sit here all day and tell you how much of a waste of a pick. I was talking about it the other day. He was a second round pick at best.
My point in all this is OBJ could essentially go back to New York and get exactly what he wants. He's back in a market that he knows. He's in the Mecca. And here's the hat trick, the trifecta, if you will. He would be your number one, which means Daniel Jones is going to find him.
And you know what? Add a fourth on there. They're actually at least a contender nowadays. Like there's a chance they get to the playoffs at least.
I mean,
there's that. How makes them happy.
As it's stacked ranked, the Giants, the Cowboys, and the Eagles all are in the postseason.
So are
as
the Commanders.
It stands currently. So
the Commanders are too.
Well, I know. I thought the 49ers had the edge over them. Or is it? I'll have to go back and look. But
I think they're all in. I'll have to check.
All right. So really quick, when I talk about what and shout out to my man Mike Patton. I was just on his show touring the AFC South. He called it the AJ Brown Bowl because the Tennessee Titans are coming to Philly, where AJ Brown came from. And I still, if someone was to say to me, do you remember where you were when you found out AJ Brown was getting traded to Philadelphia? I'll say yes. I was at the NFL draft and I saw the facial expression of Mike Rabel when that happened. And that has stayed etched in my brain. So I truly anticipate with all the wear on the tires that Jalen Hurts and Miles Sanders put on the Packers defense, my opinion, I fully expect this matchup on Sunday to be more of a passing game. And we know A.J. Brown wants to get his. I mean, that's just, let's call it what it is. He wants to remind Tennessee, y'all let me go and now I'm here and we're 10-1. Like, I'm not saying, I'm just saying. But again, what both of you were saying about your run defenses, I can say the same thing about Philly. Our defense, we're great on the pass. But for some unknown reason, why do and offenses know this? All you got to do is be like Moses, part the Red Sea, leave the middle open, find a slot receiver, and guess what? They gone for 15 yards. And I'm standing here screaming at my TV like, can we find a body somewhere? Listen, I have said it since the beginning of the season. I am saying it now. There are two things I want from the Philadelphia Eagles. Be consistent, beat the Cowboys. That's all I want.
We know this.
And right now, sitting at 10-1, I know you do. Sitting at 10-1, that's where we're at. To both of you, much love. Jake Malik, Megan Price, thank you so much. Everybody stay tuned because Megan's got a major announcement. I can't wait till she drops it. I'm so excited. I'm not giving it away, but I'm just like really, really excited for her because this is huge. But anyhow, love you both. I'll talk to y'all later. All right, let me transition over to the NFC South. And like I said, I will make sure that I get Couch Coaches. He dropped me a video. I also have Pittsburgh Steelers, the global phenom that is Daniel Buckwedigo, and also have my man Eddie for the Chicago Bears. But let me talk to this guy because his team is doing something that most people did not expect, and that's contending for an NFC South division title. My man, Joe Carlino, was in the building, the Talent Master J, as he calls himself. Joe, you're facing the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're coming on a short week. Not really. They played Monday night, but still. Talk to me, sir, about your Steelers. Talk to me about the Steelers versus your Falcons.
Do you mind if I say something before we do the 90 seconds real quick?
Please, go ahead.
You said we're contending for an NFC South championship right now in a bad division. And I think it was John who was saying that the Falcons were a bad football team, yet he's been picking the Falcons in your pool week after week. So it's like you're picking a bad team to win against a team that you think is good, but yet you said they're the worst team. So make up your mind, Dolphin boy.
That being said, my man, Joe Carlino, Atlanta Falcons, Pittsburgh Steelers.
Well, I mean, after last week's loss to the Commanders, I mean, that game was actually a lot better than a lot of people anticipated, even me. I watched that play back on Marcus Mariota's interception in the end zone, targeting Cordero Patterson. Arthur Smith was right. That play was open. Deron Payne just gets a hand up. So, unlike the Marshawn Lynch play, this one I can defend because it was a good play. It's not like that play. But getting back to this game, Pittsburgh is coming in. They just beat Matt Ryan and the Colts. Matt Ryan still can't beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, which is sad. He only needs to beat them, the Patriots, and the Falcons, I think, are the last three teams that he has to win against in order to be like Drew Brees and Tom Brady and whatnot. But they're coming into Atlanta, short week. Atlanta normally this season, they've been doing well against teams on the short week. And Pittsburgh is no joke on that. But at the same time, the status of Najee Harris is going to be something. I mean, Atlanta gave up 176 yards rushing on the ground to the Commanders last week while getting 167 themselves. So it comes down to if Najee Harris is going to play, how Kenny Pickett's going to sling the ball. George Pickens is coming back after playing in Georgia. It's going to be something, to say the least. But I'm going to end it on this. And, Eric, I want you to answer this question for me. What is the Falcons' record lifetime against the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Wow. Lifetime? Lifetime against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Lifetime.
I'm going to throw something out there, and listen, it's like spaghetti against the wall. I hope it sticks. I'm going to say Pittsburgh, Atlanta, lifetime. They play each other once every 4 years, sometimes more, depending on how the schedules fall. Let's say 22-14.
So close, but wrong. Atlanta is 2-14-1. The last time Atlanta beat Pittsburgh was in 2006. Pittsburgh notoriously loves eating us for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, much like the Colts.
Wow. Only 17 times. Okay. All right. My math is off. I listen. I'm saying that's going to be the score, 22-14. I don't know who's going to win, but that's going to be the final score.
Hey, look at the bright side, Eric. And this is also what gets me on the broadcast map. How the Tampa area is getting that game, but the rest of the state is getting Jets-Vikings in the 1 o'clock CBS slot.
Huh. That is interesting. Very interesting. I'm not sure. My man, Talent Master J, Joe Carlino, my brother, thank you so much. I'm going to holler at you.
Hey, go Birds.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. All right. So let me go ahead and get my man, since we were just talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers, Daniel Bequetigo talking about his Pittsburgh Steelers facing the Atlanta Falcons this week.
The Pittsburgh Steelers are in Atlanta this week to take on the Falcons, as the Steelers really played well last week against the Colts, and the offense looked slower in the second half. The offense still looked better than it has been this season. Kenny Pickett is continuing to improve as the season goes along, with the production of the run game that has been so efficient since the start of the second half of the season after the bye weeks. The Steelers really making some changes there in the run game. Even though Najee Harris might be down this week, he's dealing with an injury right now, did not practice for most of this week, if not most of this week. So the Steelers really need to go through what they have to do here against the Atlanta Falcons, because the Atlanta Falcons are a really good run team themselves. So the Steelers need to stay to what is true to them. They need to stay what has been working for them. Even though Najee Harris might be out, Benny Snell has looked great. Jalen Warren might be back. He's looked great as well. So let's see how those two work with the presence of Najee Harris. And, of course, the Steelers' pass game has looked much better with George Pickens getting more target since the trade of Chase Claypool to the Chicago Bears. So the Steelers' defense need to keep on doing what they've been doing. Even though it hasn't been the greatest in the past few weeks, they've made it possible for the Steelers to win games. So they need to continue what they're doing, add more fancy numbers, and turn the ball over so the Steelers can take over the win here against Atlanta in this week.
Okay. Well, he mentioned Chase Claypool going to the Bears. Let's talk to my man Eddie about his Bears because, ladies and gentlemen, this may be the week where Aaron Rodgers can no longer say, I own the Chicago Bears. Well, let's hear from my man Eddie.
Well, Eric, last week did not go as planned. I know I said Bears win by 3, and that was really a hope and a prayer that Justin Fields would play because when I recorded, I still didn't know if he would. You ask me right now, though, that's old school Bears football, minus, not having a good defense. I don't know where I stand on wanting Justin Fields to play this week. I really don't. There's always that part of me that wants to beat the Packers, but I don't know if Aaron Rodgers is going to play. And if he's not playing, let Trevor Siemian go out there. Who cares? If it's Trevor Siemian versus Jordan Love, I'm not going to be upset one way or another because the other thing I'm afraid of is if the Bears win this game and then the Packers end up with a better draft pick. That would be like we couldn't even enjoy the win. I know the best thing is for the Bears to lose this week. It is. They need to keep losing. They need to keep that draft stock high, be able to trade back, or get that stud that they think will absolutely change this team around this year. But I can't help it. I want the Bears to beat the Packers every single time they play. I want the Bears to win this one. If Trevor Siemian can replicate what he did in the first couple of drives, assuming he's the starter, I think they'll be okay. There's so many injuries, though, right now. Even with Aaron Rodgers out, I think Aaron Jones is going to have an amazing game, right? They're going to be able to depend on some other things to help beat the Bears this week, and not that that's going to be extremely difficult. I feel like this team's trying to lose. With that said, though, I always want the Bears to beat the Packers. I always want the Bears to beat the Packers. I'm hoping for a Bears win. Bear down.
Okay. Like I said, this might be the week. It still remains to be seen, but we will find out. So let me go ahead, ladies and gentlemen, and like I said earlier, my man, Couch Coach.
What's going on, everybody? It's your man, Couch Coach. I'm your Washington Commanders contributor here on the Alex Fleming NFL Carousel. And we definitely got to talk about this matchup against the New York Football Giants this week. Obviously, the Commanders coming in with a record of 7-5, winners of 6 of their last 7 games, going to New Jersey and facing the Giants team who was coming in at 7-4. Pretty much this is a matchup for the winner of this will potentially be in the 3rd spot of the NFC East, or we affectionately call it as the NFC Beast at this point. This is going to be a very interesting matchup between these two. Obviously, a divisional rivalry. You really can throw away a lot of stats, a lot of everything. It's just one of those. It's going to be a black and blue type of matchup. Obviously, I look at what the Giants have done. A great season thus far under the tutelage of Brian Daboll. He's doing a spectacular job there. I think one of the keys for the Commanders to win this football game is definitely our 2 kryptonites, stopping our 2 kryptonites, which are Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones. I think we definitely have a good shot, especially with our front 4. I think we'll be able to get Daniel Jones out the pocket and hopefully clog up that running game for Saquon Barkley. And I definitely think that this Commanders team has what it takes, winners of their last 6 of their last 7 games. And I think the Commanders will win this football game and become 3rd place in the NFC East.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was my man, Couch Coach, talking about his Washington Commanders and the New York Football Giants. Man, thank everybody for tuning in to Alex Fleming's NFL Carousel. As we always say, either you on or you're off. We'll see you next week.